Welcome, friends, to the Nature Wanderer podcast. My name is Paul. I'm your host for our Wanderings Through Nature. And speaking of wandering through nature, just got back from a hike in my backyard. By my backyard, I do have 12 acres, unmowed field. I like to keep it natural for the birds. A couple years ago, I did brush hog the entire thing because we were starting to get taller bushes. We were getting some honeysuckle. We were getting some multiflora rose. We had a few stray trees that were starting to grow, which the healthy trees we did keep. But we wanted to brush hog the rest of it because birds, field species anyhow, are in severe decline. And so I'm trying to create more habitat. Unfortunately, my neighbor who has a large field next to me, he rents it out to a local farmer who's hays it, which is fine, except he hays it the wrong time of year. We get bobolinks up in that field every spring, nesting. Bobolinks are a ground nester, and they're up in the field nesting, and they come along right at the end of nesting season. If they could only wait like another week or two, it would be awesome. But that's their business, They're trying to get the hay when they have it available, and they need to keep their cows fed. In my opinion, they could wait another week or two. Some studies have actually shown that the hay will have more nutrients if they wait a little longer. But anyhow, I'm sidetracking here. I apologize. I do keep my 12 acres mowed the 1 year I brush hogged it, and the reason is because of I want to create field habitat for the birds in the area, especially the bobolinks, but field sparrows and other birds. So anyhow, I was going for a hike, and speaking of birds, up in my neighbor's field, I just saw a small flock of turkeys, wild turkeys. I always have to say wild turkeys because when we say turkeys, especially this time of year around Thanksgiving, everyone is thinking about those birds that sacrifice themselves to come to our dinner. I always used to say, yeah, we invite them to our table for Thanksgiving, but we don't invite them. We force them to come. So anyhow, when I say turkey, most people think of those guys that are raised on the farm, and there is a difference. The guys on the farm are raised for what? Food for us, so that they get them nice and fat and plump so that we have a lot of food to eat at Thanksgiving time, especially when we invite all our family and maybe friends over. We want to have enough turkey, enough meat for everybody. So that's why the farm-raised turkeys are fattened up so much. Now, the wild turkeys, they're a big bird. They're bulky, they're heavy, but they aren't as fat as the ones on the farms. You see, the ones on the farms get so fat that they can't even fly, whereas a wild turkey can actually fly at speeds of around 40 miles an hour in the air. I mean, that's pretty quick. And another reason that they keep themselves fit and healthy in the wild is to get away from predators. How many predators are going after the turkeys on the farm? I'm sure there's some. I mean, farmers will disagree with me if I said there's no predators for those guys, but there are. I mean, I'm sure they lose turkeys to weasels and maybe a coyote that might get into the pen. But in the wild, they've got predators everywhere. They have to worry about those coyotes in the evening. They have to worry about the minks. They have to worry about the weasels. They have to worry about all these animals, especially because the turkey is a ground feeder. they're not flying around eating food off of the trees. They're eating bugs, the insects. They're eating grains. They're eating seeds. They're eating stuff on the ground. Wild turkeys spend a lot of time on the ground, just like their domestic friends or relatives, I should say. They're the domestic ones, the ones that we raise on the farms. They have a nice fence around them. They're protected from a lot of dangers, although I did say there are some dangers, but most of the dangers that they have to worry about are the humankind who come and decapitate them for our dinner at Thanksgiving. I always get a kick out of every Thanksgiving. You see the story on the news about how our president pardon the Thanksgiving turkey. I think one year they actually pardoned 2 turkeys. But they pardon the Thanksgiving turkey, and he goes off to some ranch somewhere where he is living his dream life the rest of his life with no worries about being eaten, cared for. My thought is, and I don't want to hear the nasty letters, but my thought is they might as well have eaten them. The reason I say that is not to be mean. I'm a vegan, or mostly vegan, vegetarian at least. But anyhow, the turkey should have been eaten by the president and his staff because, well, he's going to die anyhow. You see, these turkeys who are raised on the farms, as I was saying, they are fattened up to the point where they can't fly. They can't move very well. So they're not getting a lot of exercise, and they're overweight. They're not a healthy weight that these turkeys are. So they end up not living very long. They have a heart attack. They are unhealthy. So you might as well have just killed them, sacrificial death, and then eaten them. In my opinion, don't even raise them in the first place on a farm. But let's get back to the wild turkeys. That's what I want to talk about, because we are a nature podcast. We should be talking about nature. So I saw these turkeys, a small flock up in the field, and it made me think about all these turkeys that are on the farms, and it made me think about Thanksgiving and how much I'm thankful for. I mean, I'm always thankful for nature, and I hope everyone gets out and they thank nature for all that we have. Thank the trees for the air that they give us, the oxygen that we breathe, the shelter they give us from the wind, from the weather. Thank the grass, thank everything. I mean, nature has so much that it gives to us. That's what I'm always thankful for every Thanksgiving. But these turkeys, they also made me think about a time not too long ago when I was driving down the road, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I was on this country road, and this big, huge bird came flying right in front of me. The wing actually glazed off of my windshield, scared the daylights out of me. Luckily, I had good control of the car. I slammed on the brakes, got control, and just drove along. But I actually was scared to death. He just came out of nowhere. Huge bird. It was a wild turkey. So like I said, these guys do fly pretty well. And this guy must have been in the brush at the side of the road. Something spooked him up just as I was driving along, and he decided to fly right in front of me. I didn't hurt him. I didn't kill him. I saw him fly off into the bush afterwards. Like I said, he just glazed my windshield with his wing. These guys are big birds. They're beautiful birds. Although I did hear someone, I won't mention anyone's name, who said, yeah, we should eat them for Thanksgiving because they're pretty darn ugly. I'm sorry, I think turkeys are a pretty bird. If you ever seen a turkey up close, a wild turkey, they have these bronze coloration to their feathers, and they're very iridescent. Mixed in with the bronze color is some greens. So it's a beautiful, iridescent, shiny color that these birds are. When you see them up close, they are very beautiful. And then their wings, the stripes on their wings. The wing is kind of a blackish brown with white barring all the way across it. I think why some people think they're ugly is when they look at the head. The head it's very weird looking, and the males have that big red gizzard hanging down the front. And that's kind of what makes them look ugly, if you think they're ugly. But I think they're a beautiful bird. I do get asked every once in a while if there seems to be a lot more turkeys around nowadays. And I always tell people, well, you're just more aware of them. So maybe you saw one, and so now all of a sudden your mind is looking for them, and you get to see them more often because of that. So their numbers usually stay pretty stable. I mean, they do go in that up and down cycle that a lot of animals do. When there's a lot of food sources out there, you'll see like populations go up. And then as the food disappears, the population drops from the predator. So you have a predator-prey relationship. That's what happens. So with turkeys, coyotes, fox, their populations go up, the turkey population drops. As the population of turkeys drop, the population of coyotes will start to drop as well. And it goes in that up and down cycle. So if you are seeing a lot, we're just in an up cycle. And like I said, you're just probably more aware that they're out there. Now, turkeys are found all over the United States. Out west, there's a few states that have large areas that are void of turkeys, but most states do have a good, healthy turkey population in them. You will find them down into Mexico as well. And the turkey is in southern part of Canada, but very southern. You don't see them further up north. That's where the turkeys can be found. They do like to live in the woods, but you often see them out in the fields as long as there's woods nearby. Once again, they can fly away from danger, but they're a big bird, so they don't fly as fast as some of these smaller birds, so they do have difficulty getting away from larger predators. At nighttime, the turkeys, they protect themselves from the predators by flying up into the tree, as we call roosting up in the tree. They will find a area up in the tree, a nice heavy branch that can support their weight. They fly up there, and then they just hang on to the branch and they sleep up there. Now, an interesting thing, I'm often asked, why don't they fall off the branch if they're asleep? Birds have a tendon on the back of their leg that tightens up when they crouch down. And when it tightens up, it actually causes the toes to lock down. So when the turkey falls asleep, and this is true with most birds, when they fall asleep, their leg bends because they're crouching down, which tightens that tendon and locks them onto the branch. That's why they don't fall off when they're sleeping. Here's some fun facts about turkeys. Did you know that only the males do the gobble, which is where they got the name gobblers for a male turkey? They're also known as toms. The females are known as hens, and they actually do more of a purring noise. The heads of turkeys change colors with emotions. So depending on the emotion of the turkey, their head could be red, it could be pale, or it could even be blue. Now, the rumor is that Ben Franklin wanted the turkey to be our national bird over the bald eagle. The Smithsonian has disproven that to be a myth. Ben Franklin did say that the bird is more courageous and respectable than the bald eagle, but he never really nominated the bald eagle to be our national bird. He also stated that the eagle, the bald eagle, was a bird of bad moral character. The vision of a turkey is 3 times better than the vision of humans. Now, the fleshy red appendage that hangs over the beak is called the snood, and it grows rather quickly and is mostly there to attract females. Every year, about 46 million farm-raised turkeys are killed for Thanksgiving. 46 million. Now, you can always tell the turkeys, whether they're male or female, by their droppings, by their scat. Male droppings actually form a J shape, whereas females are more in a spiral shape. Turkeys can run at about 25 miles per hour, and they fly at speeds of about 55 miles an hour. Now, when they're flying at those fast speeds, they only go short bursts in the air, but they can fly at slower speeds up to about a quarter mile. So for our younger listeners, I thought you might like a good turkey joke. Which side of the turkey has the most feathers? Well, the outside, of course. What do you call a turkey who drank too much coffee? A perky. What sound does a turkey's phone make? Wing, wing. Okay, enough of the really bad jokes. I'm sure the young kids enjoyed them, though. Let's get back to talking turkey. And this Thanksgiving, as you sit down at the table to give thanks for all that we have, don't forget to thank nature. Important thing is to give thanks for all that nature has given us. Take a minute to sit back and think about all the things that you get from nature, that nature gives us. The sunlight gives us energy. The grass gives us air to breathe. The trees give us air to breathe. They give us wood to build our houses. They keep us warm. They insulate us. They block the wind. The birds give us beautiful songs and enjoyment. The turkeys, besides Thanksgiving dinner, those guys are pretty interesting to watch as well. And they're almost comical at times, but they are also very beautiful. So how do you spot a wild turkey? Next time you're out exploring nature, wandering through nature, how are you going to find these birds? I mean, they're really large, so it's hard to miss them, but where are you going to look? Well, my favorite place where I usually spot them, especially this time of year around Thanksgiving, up in the Northeast here, most of the farm fields have already been cut down, all the crops have been harvested, and the turkeys are in those fields picking at the remains. So they're looking for any leftover seeds that are left on the ground, maybe some insects that are wandering through the tilled up dirt, and that's the best place to find them. Now, another good place is in the woods or near the edge of woods. I know I see them a lot when I'm hiking through the woods. What type of woods are they mostly hanging out in? Well, they like forests that have trees in them that bear a lot of nuts and seeds. That's what they like to eat. So forests that have like a lot of oaks in them will tend to have more turkeys than forests that don't have a lot of nuts in them. You will find them in some conifer forests as well, but mostly I find them in the hardwood forests. You can also find them in fields. I see them a lot when I'm driving down the road where they'll be hanging out in larger flocks in a field, mostly farmers' fields, like I mentioned earlier, but it could be a hay field as well. When they come along and they hay the field, they leave a lot of the grasses left behind, and that's where they are looking for insects hiding under the grasses, and they're also looking for the seeds that were knocked off the plants when it was hayed. It looks like we've come to the end of this episode for today. If you enjoy wandering through nature with me, please help me out by subscribing, writing a review, downloading. Also, be sure to let all your friends know about the podcast and how they too can wander through nature with us. If you have any nature questions or ideas for future episodes, please feel free to drop me a message on my Instagram page at the_nature_wanderer or my website at naturewanderer.org. You can also support the podcast by joining my Patreon, which will also give you extras, including videos, bonus podcasts, pictures, and much, much more. Have a great week and keep exploring the nature around you.